Hey, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific, and they call me Chris of the Northwest. And we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're honing your brainwaves, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
Honing, that's a good word. Tonight, we're going to talk about finding and tuning, perhaps honing, your geosenses. As always, live audience, jump in the chat, chime in, share your thoughts with us. We love to hear from you. But first, of course, it's time to bring in our spider sense monkey. Some say he has the third largest collection of unmatched socks. And others say he's called Loverboy because he's working for the weekend. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
Awesome. I love the BC classic rock band reference. Thank you.
Everybody's working for the weekend.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's awesome.
But surely not everybody was Kung Fu fighting.
No, what a mess that would be.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is the third largest collection of unmatched socks, second only to my dryer.
Hmm.
There you go. Hey, before we jump into anything else, it is that time where we make the quick reminder that we appreciate the support of our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. A thanks to Land Sharks, one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. Again, a reminder, if you're visiting Vancouver Island this summer, don't forget to plan a visit to the Sharks store. 525 Head Street, Esquimalt, minutes from downtown Victoria, where you can browse the products in the store, meet the awesome team, and find GC5Z4N2. All right, so make sure you do that. And I would be remiss if I don't remind you to visit our other corporate Denali level sponsor. That would be Gold Country Geotourism. Visit exploregoldcountry.com. Learn more about the geotours, the region, and download the app. Find them on Facebook at Explore Gold Country, and of course their website, exploregoldcountry.com. And dear listener, if you would like to know more about supporting this show, please click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com, a website.
Thank you so very much.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's that time of the show. Yes. Get close. Listen in. It's that time of the show where we talk about the glow. Now, you may ask, what is a glow?
What is a glow?
Oh, thank you. A glow is a geocaching log of the week. So whether you read it or whether you wrote it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. You can send an email or a recording on that fancy phone of yours to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can call into 253-693-TFTC and show us just how you glow.
Hey, Chris. Sorry, Jim, before you get going, I want to point out that, the audience is now playing along as well.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Dormore wants to know, what is the glow?
And as if she has to ask because it was her brainchild, I think. But all right, Jason times 2. Even oh, look at that! Everything that's lit up is aglow. I think I know those guys. Well, let's see. The glow this week. Well, it came from a log from Starkcacher, who found Orange Gator 33. That's GC9TMEM, Tango Mike Echo Mike, in case you were looking for the phonetic there.
Good old T-Mem.
Yeah, GC9TMEM. That's how we always refer to it.
Yeah.
Or, Orange Gator 33. The log says, today is one of the 64 days I have left on a multi-only calendar. So I decided to go for one of the 2 furthest west of the Orange Gator series that I had left to find. I first tried for this cache. At first, I could not locate the stage 1 tag. But then I saw it half buried in the gravel below where it usually was. I recorded the final coordinates and returned the tag as it is usually found. I then looked for the final at the indicated coordinates. After a search on both sides of the road, I assumed it was missing and marked this cache as a DNF. I then went to number 37 of this series, which was just north on the road. I headed to what was going to be the first stage, assuming it was going to be like the others I've found in this series that are in metal culverts. But there was a 6+ inch layer of crop residue, dead grasses, branches, and assorted garbage on top of the metal culvert, making it difficult to walk on. One of the pieces of garbage in the debris was an orange painted Gatorade bottle. That was strange. Usually the final is inside the top of the culvert, stuck there with a magnet. I assumed that whatever flood that left all that debris on top of the culvert caused the bottle to pop up and get caught with the rest of the stuff. I signed the log inside that container and was going to return it inside the pipe when I noticed this one did not have a magnet. So I reluctantly returned it to the debris pile. I usually record the coordinates from stage 1, so I thought that my ground zero for that cache must be pointing to the wrong side of the road since it was very close. So I went to the other side to get the coordinates from the tag. What I found was another orange Gatorade bottle with a magnet, just as the final usually is hidden in this series when at a culvert. I signed that one also and returned it as I found it. It was not until I was driving home that I figured out what likely had happened. The final for number 33 must have fallen on the ground from the guardrail, like so many of these do. Then it actually got washed downstream to the number 37 location during a flood and got stuck in the debris pile on top of the culvert. So I changed my DNF here to a find, as I believe I signed the final log for this cache, even though it was located at the wrong cache location. If I'd figured this out while I was still here, I would have returned the final container for this cache to the proper guardrail location. If I'm back in the area soon, I might move it then. I will do a needs maintenance log because I do not know how soon, if ever, I will be near enough and remember to fix it. Well, that was quite the convoluted log, but yay for avenging a DNF.
Yes, exactly. And I thought that fit our theme of GeoSense tonight.
Yeah. You can see why you would think that.
And, well, speaking of GeoSense, that's also the hashtag GeoSense. That's GeoSense, not opposed to, the coins you may find while geocaching. Those are GeoSense. Yes. And eventually you'll have a GeoDollar.
Okay.
Still not enough to buy a cup of coffee.
If we're in the Northwest and they're gooey ducks, does that make this a gooey sense?
Oh, it very well might. It's spelled the same, and that confuses me. Now, of course, you can use the hashtag FATAP.
Oh, we lost your audio.
Did we really?
Oh, yeah, you said FATAP, and then you were gone. But now you're back, so
we missed you.
Let me slow down and speak clearly so that when the audio cuts out. Okay, you can use the hashtag FATAS. That's for the after show to bring in something that we want to talk about. Did you hear GeoSenses for tonight's or GeoSense for tonight's?
Yes.
Hashtag? Perfect. And we want to use the twin hashtags of podcast baking and podcast drinking to tell us what you're sipping and cooking tonight.
There you go.
In fact, we've already got some of that going. Let's see. Where was it earlier? And I've already lost it. Here it is. IHAM says it's too hot for hashtag podcast baking, going for some podcast yogurt instead. Nice, cool, and fruity.
I think you're supposed to pronounce that podcast yogurt.
Oh,
the
Y goes with ogurt, not with podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear IHAM rolling his eyes.
Yes.
Kitty Quest has podcast not baking. I bought my treat tonight rather than baking it. Tart filled with custard and fresh raspberries topped with meringue.
Ooh,
that does sound tasty.
Would that be podcast unbaking?
Well, at least not baking. My son made 2 apple pies for my daughter's boyfriend's birthday. We had him over to the house, and fresh apple pie. That's hashtag podcast baking.
Did you put a nasty slab of cheddar cheese on top?
No, I did not. No, I looked at the pie and I knew exactly what I wanted. I didn't have to go through the entire menu.
Okay.
There you go. Seebeck Tribe has a podcast baking tonight.
Does she?
Yes.
There it is.
Or a podcast not baking. Sorry.
Ah.
Apparently that is now a thing.
She had a nothing bunts raspberry lemon bunt.
There's a store in Tri-Cities here that's nothing but cakes.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
So that's a thing. There you go.
It's clever too, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Raspberry lemon. Sounds good. You know what also is good?
No.
A wheel. You know, it's round. Goes round and round.
Wheelie?
Yeah. And this particular wheel is the Wheel of Challenges.
How ominous.
Yes, thank you. The wheel got spun this week, and the result is Iconic Cacher. What is Iconic Cacher, you may ask? Boy, I ask a lot of questions of what people may ask. Apparently, I don't know what they're going to ask, but
The end.
from August 7th to September 3rd, find as many different cache types or different types of geocaches as you can. As you collect different cache icons with each find, you also make progress towards earning 2 new souvenirs. You guys are so good. Look at this. Wet Coaster, what's an iconic cacher? Komakino, what's an iconic cacher? Sticks his tongue out. Okay. The easy souvenir for this challenge, to earn it, you have to find and log 3 different cache types. These 3 cache types are, not any 3, these 3. Traditional cache, adventure location, and event cache.
Okay.
That's not too hard.
Doesn't sound too hard.
No. Now, to earn the hard souvenir, because the first one was easy, this one's much harder. You have to find and log these 8 different cache types. Now, you can use the first 3 and only have to find 5 more, right? So traditional, adventure location, event. Then you're going to add in virtual, Land Monkey, plug your ears, Earth cache, multi-cache, mystery cache, and letterbox hybrid.
Okay.
Now, this challenge,
Why do I need to plug my ears?
this challenge is not connected with the leaderboard for that reason right there, because of the leaderboard. I know how much you love it.
I see. Okay.
Finding the 3 cache types for the easy souvenir will also count towards earning the hard souvenir.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's also important to point out they don't all need to be found in the same day, although that may be something you challenge yourself to.
There you go. You've got all month to find it. Well, August 7th to September 3rd.
Yeah. It's roughly a month. And you know, if you're in an area where there aren't very many event caches, that gives you enough time to plan one and host one.
Exactly. And August 19th, International Geocaching Day, in case you were wondering what to do during that. Just Carlo wants to know who is an iconic cacher, or what is an iconic cacher, or why is an iconic cacher.
When?
Where?
When?
How?
I think we just explained how.
I think we got them all today.
Okay. So
there you go. There's the leaderboard. I made the mistake of looking at the comments, and people were upset of going, well, why did they pick these 3? They picked Adventure Lab, so we have to go download the application and, have them, more control over our phone. Like, you know what? Nobody's making you do this.
I was going to say, you know what? You don't have to do any of that.
Right.
We didn't have to do 2 months of streak in a row, but I chose to do it anyways.
So, yeah, get over yourselves. These are the ones that were chosen. Nothing to see here. Move along.
All right. Well, that's good. You got a good block of time there to try to get that done. So get out and get caching in the Northwest
Dude,
that
that's
somewhere
my
before.
line.
safely and often.
Yes, indeed.
Thank
Or-
you. Good night, everyone.
Or sporadic and rarely. That's my tagline, I guess. And while you're out there looking for caches, specifically that traditional one, because the adventures and the events may not need as much GUI sense, but we're talking about GUI senses or geosenses if you prefer. So what exactly are geosenses anyway?
Well, just as I was reading the comments
Yeah.
about the wheel, I'm sorry, the wheel of challenges, I was also searching the geocaching forums, and I came across an older post. And it starts off with, "Hello all, we're brand new. We just found our first today. Our Garmin was off by 20 feet. Is this normal? Also, what does GeoSense mean? Thanks."
Nice.
So some may ask, what does GeoSense mean?
We know for a fact people ask this now.
Yeah. Well, and in the forum, as you added here, it was answered with this. It's kind of like the force that a Jedi Knight allegedly has, but a little more grounded. It says, kidding aside, a GPS can't find a cache. Only a geocacher can find a cache. It can only lead you to where you need to start searching. Once you're there, the GPS can only serve as a distraction to the real task at hand, which is using the tools you were born with to find that cache. Those tools, sight, smell, hearing, touch, and imagination, I don't know why they left taste off that list, are widely known as your senses. And once they're attuned to the evil things geocachers do to hide caches, they're also known as geosenses.
Yeah, I think that last little bit about being attuned to things geocaches do, it triggered a thought for me. And so I went and did a little bit of fact checking before the podcast. And scientifically, what we're talking about is the reticular activating system. So it is a bundle of nerves at your brainstem. It filters out unnecessary, or what you determine is unnecessary information, so that the important stuff gets through. Is basically how it works. It's responsible for our wakefulness, our ability to focus, our fight and flight responses, and ultimately how we perceive the world. It's essentially the gatekeeper of information. So your reticular activating system takes what you focus on and basically creates in your brainstem a filter. So then data is sifted through that filter, and only the pieces that are important to you pass through the filter and are triggered. So then that becomes how, when you are accustomed to looking for a key hider fake rock, and you are looking at a pile of rocks and you go, there's the cache. Whereas when you're new to geocaching, you're like, I don't know, it's not here.
Well, and that the person that asked the question said they had just found their very first geocache that day. So their geosenses may not be quite as attuned as some other people's.
Well, and
It's
considering
something
that
that grows.
yeah, and that is based on your reticular activating system, the filter just gets stronger the more you use it, right? So it's a hardwired thing, folks, in the brain.
I love it. There was one more in the forums. It says, "Welcome to geocaching. I too wondered what geosense meant when I first saw the word in a cache description. In my caching area, when cache descriptions say, use your geosenses, they usually mean that the cache is hidden in a typical spot, not something highly unusual. Unfortunately, a hint like, use your geosenses, doesn't do the slightest bit of good until you found enough caches to know what on earth typical is."
Right.
Yeah.
I found that somewhat frustrating when I started this sport last year. Around here, typical spots for regular sized caches include old stumps underneath logs at the base of a tree, in the middle of a bush, underneath a pile of rocks or branches. I'm sure there's a lot more, but this is what comes to mind. Some days I think my geosenses have completely taken a leave of absence, particularly when I can't find several caches in a row. Other days, I think I may actually be getting the hang of it. So there you go. geosense is a term used in geocaching to describe a cacher's ability to intuitively sense the likely hiding spot of a geocache based on clues, context, and experience. It's the sixth sense that experienced geocachers have developed over time, allowing them to hone in on the cache location more effectively.
Well, and like just finding our way contributes, typical is regional.
It really is.
You go caching in another part of the country or another part of the world, and they may not have the same hiding habits as people where you're from.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, right here in Washington State, going from east to west is a completely different hiding style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot fewer stumps in the Tri-Cities area.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot less sagebrush here on the west side.
Right?
I've noticed that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we do have parking lot lights everywhere.
That's true. That's universal across the world. Oh, let's see. Kitty Quest says, some days I'm geosenseless.
I'm in that club.
Dora Moore follows up with, I'm frequently full of geo-nonsense. Funny stuff.
Which is, that's the best.
Which is bestest, according to Brylang.
According to Brylang. But yeah, so I think, as we're reading through these other descriptions, it's funny, right? Because there's these almost folky descriptions from the geocaching forums and other logs and such of, sixth sense and habitually getting used to looking for things. And then, it to me, it just keeps coming back to that scientific explanation of it's the RAS, it's your reticular activating system, it's your filters in your brainstem that are just doing okay, you've trained me, I'm now looking for this. So I'm approaching a cedar tree, I'm looking for a green bison tube.
Absolutely.
Well, it's the same idea, as if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? Same idea there.
Yeah.
Same with whatever you do for work. Like you take your car to a mechanic and they go, oh, it's making that sound. Well, this means da 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 da.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Yeah. Well, and what is everybody's first go-to nowadays when you have a question about what is XYZ? Well, we Google it, right?
That's right.
Everything there. It's, you do the LMGTFY thing and come up with what is GeoSense. And Google comes back and tells you that there's a company called GeoSense, and they're involved in the development of sensors for geotechnical and structural monitoring instruments. So I think we can definitively set that as the definition for GeoSense and say thanks, good night.
Yeah, it's been a great podcast.
Thanks, so.
Yeah.
That was great.
Okay, now we are talking about GeoSense in the context of geocaching. And as we have mentioned, it's often built on experience. The more geocaches you find, the more diverse types of hide that you encounter, the better you become at recognizing common hiding spots regionally, as we've said, and container sizes. Because I remember the first time we ever found a little magnetic nano. Well, what the heck is that? So it's the art of looking for the single out-of-place item and allowing your mind to question its location or position.
There you go. Yeah. And, and how do you develop that reticular activating system filter called geosenses? Well, as we talked about, there's a few skills that you need to apply, your observation skills. So paying close attention to the details in the cache description, the hint, recent, previous logs. We say recent logs because things change over time.
Yeah.
But it's and looking for patterns, right? Again, we're talking about patterns and developing filters in your brain that are doing pattern recognition, looking for different locations where hides are commonly placed. So, you're going to walk down the trail, you're going to see a stump. Okay, the stump. And you know what I find, I'm thinking about this. One of the things that a phrase that occurs to me is, where would I hide? Right? And not always correct, but it's, I think it all relates to that same idea of leveraging the continually improving RAS filters and using your observation skills and what you've read to hone that over time.
And that's what Wino Seattle says, time. Time is the fire in which we burn. But he says, fine-tune it with time and experience. There's also contextual clues, which means basically what we were talking about east to west in the state, different areas. If you go down and do the ET highway, the caches are hidden nothing like they are here in the Northwest forest, right? They're not hidden like they are in, downtown Denver. Each area kind of has its own style, right? Yeah, ET highway is not like downtown Denver.
Oh, I thought you were saying the Pacific Northwest wasn't like downtown Denver. I'm like, no, actually, it's not that far off.
Yeah. So consider the surrounding environment and the cache's difficulty and terrain ratings. Some caches may have hints that relate to landscape or nearby structures, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Cedar bush.
Yeah.
That could be the hint.
Yeah, we've all, after you've cached for a while, rolled up to a location and went, that looks out of place. Or, oh, I've seen this kind of environment. I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to be looking for here.
You know what can throw that for a loop, though, is sometimes the hidden in plain sight caches, where
yes,
people will use something that doesn't look out of place as a form of camouflage. And those can be really, really tricky.
Yeah. And as Land Monkey said, where would I hide it? Think like a cache owner. You come up to a location and you say, well, if I was going to hide a cache, I'd probably go right behind this stump under that rock, or, something that looks kind of obvious. But if you have done a few, there's, let's see, where was the comment I just saw from GeoSense 2? One of our local hiders would ask, where would other people hide it? And then he hid it somewhere else. So you can take that two ways, I guess.
No, he's intentionally messing with the geosenses.
Right. So it just, maybe just raises the difficulty level a little bit there.
Star Cacher, who, by the way, did our glow this evening, says the problem is that the more your geosenses develop, the more likely you are to DNF a geocache that is unique and not like anything you have seen before. How very true.
Absolutely. I think we've all done that at some point when somebody in your area hides something in a different style than what is normally hidden in your area. Or when you travel. I found, so I'm going to interject with what I think is a funny story. Laura and I last fall were in, I can't even remember which city it was, somewhere in continental Europe, and looking for a large geocache in an urban setting. And we're like, okay, how can we not find a large geocache? And we're looking around. And for the life of us, could not find this geocache until at one point, I was like, it's got to be this. I'm like, that can't be that. Like, that's like what it was. In the end, it was a bicycle chained up to a post, and the saddlebags on the bike were the geocache. And so you open up the saddlebag, and the bike was pretty ratty looking, right? The tires are flat and it was pretty rusty and such. So Laura's like, well, it doesn't look like anybody's riding that bike. So, but it just felt weird to me to do that. Well, lo and behold, we found 2 or 3 other caches like that in other cities in continental Europe after that, because then it's like, now we know to look for something else. But when you don't, I guess to the point, right? When you don't know to look for that, that's just going to throw you off, to Start Cacher's point.
Very good. Doramore says, geosenses count and compare things like bolts and holes. If there's an extra bolt or a plugged up hole, that's often the cache.
Yeah, bolt that's longer than all the other bolts. That's what I found.
Very cool. All right, where are we at here? I've lost track of the show notes, because that's my job, losing track of the show notes.
Wait, there's notes?
Right? Okay.
Observation skills, please.
Didn't I talk? I talked about that already.
Oh, contextual. I'm sorry, wits end. Think like a cache owner.
Yeah.
We just talked about that.
We just did that too.
Now I'm caught up. Now, thank you, Chris, for walking us through all the items in the show notes till we got caught up. All right, practice and patience. And some of the live chat folks were talking about this already. But developing GeoSense takes time and practice. Who said that? Someone just said that. Time and practice. Winos, Seattle.
Time is the fire in which we burn.
Right.
Deja vu.
Don't be okay. What I don't. I recognize that. What is that from?
That is from Star Trek Generations.
Okay.
When they're trying to who is the bad guy? I can't come up with his name. Soren is trying to get back into the Nexus.
Mm-hmm.
Need to find time. That's the fire in which we burn.
Right. Okay. I can picture.
Come on, it's a great line.
It is. I just couldn't. Well, as per usual, you guys are quoting movies, and I'm like, I've heard that, but I could not tell you what movie it's from.
It's not Peggy Sue Got Married.
Fun game we play here on the podcast is
name that line.
Stump the Monkey.
Yeah, Stump the Monkey isn't hard. Yeah, but so time and practice, time in the fire of which we burn. So don't be discouraged, folks. Or, as in True Colors. If you can't, so there's a song reference for you there.
Cyndi Lauper.
Thank you. If you can't find every cache immediately, don't let that discourage you. The more you search, the more your GeoSense will improve as you tune your reticular activating system. But, as for obtaining the GeoSense, it's not something you can purchase or acquire from an external source. Comes with time, effort, and this is a good point, a genuine love for geocaching. If you don't keep doing it and you're like, you're just like, this sucks. I'm done with this and walk away. That's not going to train the systems. You have to really get into it and enjoy doing it. Enjoy the journey, improve your skills. That'll improve the excitement of the hunt. There you go. There's our advice.
And wasn't it Cyndi Lauper that sang the song "Cachers Just Want to Have Fun"?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As they develop their GeoSenses.
That's right. Well, GeoSenses are learned, says Keats94. But even after 13 years of caching, I still get skunked. Well, yeah, but I mean, if you find the skunk quickly, then you'll be okay.
Yeah. White Coaster asks if that was Hot Tub Time Machine. I think maybe referring to the quote you were providing, Chris. And I think, no, the quote from Hot Tub Time Machine is chlorine is the fire in which we burn.
Yeah, yes. Connie says sometimes you just need to stop, sit down, and take a breath while looking around. How very true. Sometimes you need to reset.
Just sit tight and assess.
Oh,
that's a movie line. Never mind.
Elaborate.
He's not going to. Okay, we'll move on. Connie, you're exactly right. Sometimes you need to stop and get rid of your preconceived notions. This has burned me several times. I'm coming in, you read that and you go, oh, I know exactly what I'm looking for. And it's not there. I'm like, okay, I need to stop because now I'm getting frustrated because I can't find what I'm looking for. And, often I'll have to say, stop, wait, is there something above me? Can I look up? Because that's what I tend not to do.
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, right? With the even with tuned GeoSenses, you can over-tune them to, they're localized, let's say, to what you are accustomed to looking for, and then that can really throw you off. There you go. Start Cacher. Pull this one out. That's good advice. Start Cacher says if you want to improve your where'd it go? Says if you want to improve your GeoSenses quicker, go geocaching often with a more experienced geocacher.
Ooh, I like that.
And what can work well is if the experienced geocacher, instead of just doing that, I got it, yep. Maybe does a little bit of the hot and cold game with you or something. So what's that? There's a term a few people use when they spot it.
Hucklebuckle.
Hucklebuckle. That's the one. Call out Hucklebuckle, and then, or you do what I do is find it and then don't say anything. And then when somebody asks a question, you say, Does it say in the hint what color the bison tube is?
Yeah.
Is it green?
Don't.
Because your
Geo Freddy says, I did that today, Chris. My original thought turned out to be right. I just went too quick.
Yeah.
Original idea. Yeah.
That happens too, for sure.
GSM times 2 says, wait for it to come up. Or after looking for 45 minutes, leave. Go back in 2 weeks. You'll find it in 10 seconds.
Yeah, sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How true.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's they're GeoSenses, but they're not perfect. I think we saw a few people commenting on that Winos and Keats saying they get skunked at times, no matter how many years they've been playing the game. And absolutely, right? It happens to everybody.
Skyhawker says sometimes it's related to knowing who the hider is and what they like to do.
That does make a difference sometimes.
Yep. And that relates to what GSM times 2 said much earlier about the hider in his area who intentionally hides it in the place you wouldn't look. Well, then you would probably be thinking, okay, I'm going for this cacher's cache. Everybody else would have hid it in that sagebrush under the rock.
In that cedar?
Yeah. So I'm going to go over there and look in the fireplace.
Well, when I'm caching in a group, you'll find that people all tend to follow the arrow and go in the same area. So I'll stop and say, okay, they're all there. If it's there, they're going to find it. I'm going to go look over here and make sure it's not somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I will, purposely look in a different area, and I look and go, well, that's obviously the hiding spot over there. This is no good. But now I know where it isn't.
Good advice. I just take pictures and film.
And you let Mrs. Monkey find all the caches.
Yep. I don't think I've found any in my entire caching career.
I think that's true.
That's probably true.
See, I did see one earlier from GSM times 2, and it doesn't help in urban hides, but so looking for geo trails is very helpful. That's something when you're out anywhere in a rural area of brush, you can see the path beaten down. Really great in the winter in a snow.
Oh, it really is.
I'm guilty of this, and I know a number of other people do it as well. If you're caching in the snow and you find the cache and you're the only set of tracks, then you wander around for a while to add extra tracks so that's not leaving a direct trail to the cache.
Yeah, or just hurl the cache out 30 feet into the snowbank, because that's
into the clean, undisturbed snow.
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with doing that.
No,
right.
You're hiding it better than you found it.
Right. Speaking of geo trails, just this weekend was the WSGA camp out. And part of that was a poker run. So you go to 14 caches. No, not actually poking people. That's Facebook. Remember when you could poke people on Facebook? That was wrong. There were 14 caches, 7 of which had poker chips in them. You take one chip and then you come back and you use that to play poker. Anyway, these were brand new caches. So as we go out, we look and go, oh, look, there's a little geo trail. People have already stomped down the grass that was just put out there. So, you can still poke people on Facebook. Apparently well, that's just not right.
Well, you can agitate people anywhere in life. If you're good enough at it.
Oh, so the big tip then is to follow the footsteps that are coming back from the cache, not the ones going in.
Indeed.
That's Skyhawker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks.
Very good. All right. Anything else?
I think that's everything.
I was going through the notes here, see if there's anything we missed.
So that's geo. You know what? Stop. Put the podcast down. In 2 weeks, rewind it, come back and listen again, and it's going to make a lot more sense.
You're going to hear things you missed the first time. Yeah. Oh, there was a few that I don't think we got to here. That one we did.
I'm clicking on Star Cacher here.
Okay. Geocache doing mega or giga geo trails. Yeah, make almost every geocache a D1. Definitely. I think we were finding that every year when we were doing the Tri-Cities GeoCoin Challenge. The first few caches you'd have to look for, and then by the time you hit the afternoon, it's like, yeah, just follow the trail.
Yeah.
or walk up to the group of people and they'll hand you the log.
Right. Yeah.
Seabiscuit said, I found an FTF by spotting a geo trail that the CO did to place the cache.
Oh, there you go. If you're fast enough. Nice. That's why you shouldn't publish a cache for like 2 weeks after you hide it.
Oh, to let the ground recover.
Yeah. White Coaster had one here. Says, why does that lamppost have a blank electrical outlet plate on it? Yeah.
Yep.
Again, things that as a geocacher, you're like, yep, that stands out. But
Yeah. Well, and I spent several years as an electrician, so I could walk up to the panel and go, it doesn't belong there. But most people would never realize that. So.
You know, it's funny on that note. I remember we were, might have been, I don't remember what it was, but we were somewhere traveling and we walked into a restaurant. And as we were in the lobby waiting to be seated, on the wall, I guess they had done renos or whatever. And there was like a fake, an electrical panel, like a plate, a face plate just on the wall in like almost a random spot. I guess there maybe used to be a light switch there or something. So there's this weird random spot where there's just one of those blank electrical panels. Yeah. And I turned immediately to Laura and said, do you want to sign the log?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, using these things, these type of caches, these tricky, you get used to seeing them in the environment. And then when you see them, you know, in real life for what they're meant to be used for, what's that doing here? Why is there a geocache here?
Yeah. GSM times 2 had a reply to the Mega Giga comment. Said his favorite finds are the ones that people are holding.
Yeah. Definitely lowers the difficulty level.
It does. Yeah, Keats. I think we were talking about this earlier. He says, I swear I've seen that exact same rock the last time I found a fake rock.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, those start to really pop out after a while. What's cool is when somebody hides a fake rock that isn't like the gray marbled ones that you're used to seeing, right?
Exactly. A couple of weeks ago, I found one of those and went with You Talks to Rocks, oddly enough, to find a rock. And you know, we played the hot cold game because it was a rock I had never seen before. It was a totally different design. And I'm like, oh, and it was in a bunch of rocks. So
yeah.
That was a tough one.
Indeed.
Being different helps. I think, did we see this one? GSM times 2 says, I have a geocache between the posts on a guardrail, and it gets about 20% DNFs because everybody expects it to be at the post.
Yes.
So,
and yeah, just a little subtle difference.
Yeah, GeoSense can work to your disadvantage in that situation.
For sure. Yeah, that's good.
When apparently Komokino was in my neighborhood, he said was in Central Washington, finishing off the South Central Geo Tour. He has a dislike for sagebrush hides now.
There's a lot of them there.
Yeah.
You know, in the future, we'll just cover the cache with a piece of bark because that'll be fine out there in the South Central.
May have to find a tree first.
Oh, Skyhawker says in Las Vegas, I had a cache that was an electrical meter box mounted on a public telephone pole on a sidewalk. There you go. Something you're used to seeing all the time, but it doesn't quite fit there.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a hiding in plain sight thing.
Our electrician friend would have noticed that right away.
Perhaps. I didn't catch them all. Yeah.
Dora Moore says that's how she found the fake gum cache on the gum wall in Seattle. She went for it during a block party, and it was just being handed around from person to person. That's the way I would want to find that particular cache. I would not like to use any of my 5 senses to find that one.
I think I just avoided
taste
that
helps
cache.
a lot on that one because it's not real gum.
Yeah, there you go. It's the one that doesn't taste like spearmint. Okay.
I wore a glove when I did that one.
I still have not done that cache. I just have no interest in it. Just the thought of that grosses me out.
You're not the only one. My company's headquarters is not too far from there, so on monthly meetings I can walk past the gum wall. But it's tough to tell the boss of just I need to look for a certain piece of gum here.
There's a particular piece of gum I'm looking for. Oh, okay.
Okay. You know what? You don't need to come back.
That's right.
Take a long lunch.
Come have a visit with HR when you're done. Yeah.
Oh, so I think that one is done, is it not? Isn't the gum wall archived?
I don't know. I think every once in a while they pressure wash the gum wall and clean it off.
No, not. I've only known it once. They've scraped it clean and started over.
Okay.
I don't think you would know that now. Maybe it's just there's a little more walking space, and it wasn't as it slowly creeps in, the gum gets closer and closer to you.
Apparently, Geo Freddy has not gone looking for it either. So I have
neither has Sky.
And I have not. I don't think I've found it either.
There you go.
No.
I feel supported. Thank you.
No,
everyone.
just does not interest me at all.
Oh, Connie, you have to tell us your geocaching name because I'm not pulling up a name. A name isn't coming to mind for me. She says, we found one that was a rusty bottle cap. Daughter had already found. It was a lot of trash along a fence. She kept telling me, touch it, touch everything.
Sometimes you don't want to touch everything, like the gum wall.
Dora Moore says, I still remember the smell of that wall.
Yeah, not
that would dull your geosenses, I think.
And shorten your life.
Keats in no rush to find the gum wall.
Nope.
We had a few other ones here. Talking about the rocks. Keats had one here. He said, I have great respect for COs that actually drill into a real rock, hide a bison tube, and then sneakily cover the opening with some sort of rock-like door. That would be an impressive feat, indeed.
Yeah, Starcacher had almost the same thing. He says the hard ones are the ones that someone drilled a hole and glued a DNA tube in an actual rock.
Yeah. I think we found one like that when we did the...
I have one sitting right over here. I drilled a rock and put a bison tube in it. Now, the bison tube sticks out, right? But it's a real rock.
So when placed properly...
Right. Have I told you my method of finding a fake rock cache in a field of rocks? I pick up a rock and I just start tapping all the rocks because that fake rock sounds different.
It's going to go clunk instead of crack.
Exactly. So that would not have worked on this last rock cache I found with You Talks to Rocks. It sounded right. I was going to say, here, you do this. Click, click. Oh, no, that sounds right. I'm in trouble now.
Yeah. I was going to say, when we did our most recent video we released is for the Geocaching Capital of Canada Geo Tour. And one of the hides, I'm not giving too much away, but one of the 150 hides is a real rock that's been drilled out. Mm-hmm. And that one took us a long time.
What was the difficulty of that? Just out of curiosity.
I want to say it was like a 3.5. I can't remember. I'd have to go back, but they rated it appropriately.
Apparently, Mr. Hippo from New Westminster has that drill bit, and he's created quite a few.
Oh, there you go.
You can get a glass or tile bit at the store. That's what I used, when we redid the bathroom and then we had to drill through the tile to put the grab bars on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't need those drill bits for anything else. And I go, they'll go through rock pretty well, won't they?
Depends on the rock, right? So
right.
What type of mineral the rock's made out of, but yeah.
As long as you get a soft one and don't take it for granted.
Well, I would actually suggest not doing that on a sedimentary rock because it's probably just going to crumble apart if you start drilling into it. But yes. And I did catch the pun. That was well done, Chris. It was a nice pun.
Nice.
Thank you. Nice, you could say. Yeah. Good luck with quartz, says
yeah.
Keats. That's a hard rock. Okay, we need to finish up, but Seebeck Tribe says, I have a cache with a drilled hole, but the match container sticks out a little bit. We put glue on the lid and put lots of dirt onto it to make it blend in at a glance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in a rock. Yeah.
Very clever.
Or just, turn the rock over. That's, stick it in the dirt.
There you go. Good stuff. And follow up on the gum wall. There you go. Iham says the original gum wall cache was archived, but a new one was placed in 2022. GC9 Wacky One.
Wacky One. I'm going to have to go find that one now.
Whiskey Charlie Yankee 1. Yep.
I don't want to.
I have no desire to.
Nope.
But I'll do it because it's there.
Because it's there. Well, if you're walking that close to it on a frequent basis at work, I can see. But yeah, I have no intention to go out of my way. Cool, man.
Okay. Well, GeoSense turned into the gum wall, as
That's right.
these adventures do. So, folks, thanks for taking the time to listen and to chew some gum, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to take a moment to, of course, as always at the end of a podcast, thank our corporate Denali level sponsors. That's landsharks.ca, the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online, and remember they're shipping those orders daily. And for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com. We want to thank all of our faithful Denali level supporters: Landsharks, Gold Country Geotourism, Team Squirrel, Groovy Owl, Cool Cow Cachers, and Cachly, the geocaching app. Folks, if you want to know more about supporting this year's show, well, just click that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website.
Let's see. Just like geocaches.
And our favorite kitchen appliance, the LG 9000.
Be Pendragon.
BC Rock Crawler.
Actively contributing to the chat tonight, GSM times 2.
My favorite rock cacher, You Talks to Rocks.
Kitty Quest.
And speaking of talking to rocks, Genies.
Trexer.
Wino Seattle.
J-Car.
Acrodoc.
Limax.
Just finding our way.
CRS 98.
Kev MacD.
Also contributing to the chat and rolling their eyes, the Camp Clan.
Shake of the Month, Peach of Washington.
Let's see. Wet Coaster.
Green Words.
MC3 Cat.
Coors Scott.
Our favorite countdown, RE 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Segehove.
Mountain Bike.
Al Robrick.
Subway Mark.
Kid Vegas 19.
Boomer 365.
Seebeck Tribe.
Flagman.
You, Dak.
Broncos fan for life.
RAR 285.
My vlogging friend from up here, Just Carlo.
Dora Moore.
Gas Station Tuna.
Antaeus.
Logwork.
Skyhawker.
Geo Nav Pro.
M Nerve.
And last but certainly not least, Team Noltex.
Thank you, each and every one, and we thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming, so if you like the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website. If you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about, and it probably won't be the gum wall. In either case, please subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts from and give us a review. Now, if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. You can also call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or send us some gum to send me some gum. I'll add it to the wall, add a little bit more each time I visit. You can do that any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and even livelier chat. This show's produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, Jay Kennedy, and Brian Lang. This show's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2023 by Chris Umfenauer. Folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The after show.
the after show. Wet Coaster says have a good long weekend.
Indeed. BC Day weekend.
Is it? BC? Does each province have its own day?
Pretty much. Each province has some sort of statutory holiday, not always on the first weekend of August, but this is the BC Day weekend.
It's all to honor my sister's birthday, which was yesterday.
Isn't that nice?
Very cool.
Let's see. Geo Freddy wants to know what happened to caching in Valemont.
Elaborate. I believe there is geocaching in Valemont.
So that's where Marcy is gone, right?
Yes. There's caches up there.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I think there was discussion about the potential for a geotour. I'm not sure if that's... Sorry, I got a fly flying around my face. It's driving me nuts. Anyways.
Brylang says...
Brylang is just gesticulating at something.
As he does.
I don't understand what he means.
I don't know. What could he be pointing to on the bottom of the screen?
I can't figure this out. Oh, look, there's something on the screen.
Oh. Well, why don't you read it then?
Geo Freddy says, if I recall from a previous podcast, there was talk of a series or geotour in Valemont. Haven't seen one pop up and went there recently and was disappointed. So yes, there. I think there was discussion of getting a geotour there. I don't think it's been released if that's in the works, but you know what? It's a good reminder for us. We should follow up with Marcy and see what's going on up in Valemont.
I just saw her I saw a couple of posts from her today on LinkedIn and go, wow, that's beautiful country up there.
It is a beautiful area for sure. It's a little more rugged.
Okay. Doramore says, today I logged a trackable that's been MIA for 9 years. It has a complicated history, but it's finally back on the move.
Complicated history. Sounds like a Facebook relationship status.
It's complicated.
Complicated, yeah.
It's been missing for 9 years. Wow.
Yeah. Cool. Wow. Good job.
Good job.
As long as it wasn't 9 years in the bottom of her backpack, and then in which case, not good job.
Keith says, go ahead.
He's in Central Time for one night. Saskatchewan is great because they're either on Central or Mountain Time. This time of year is on Mountain Time, so I gain an hour early heading west.
Nice. There you go.
Like how that works.
Everybody just quit messing with the clocks.
Yeah. I like the extra hour of sleep, but you know what? I don't like the rest of it.
Yeah. It's hard.
Starcasher wants to know how many got the hard streak souvenir.
I didn't even get the easy streak souvenir, so.
Oh.
I just looked. My last souvenir was the Tri-Cities Geocoin Challenge, which apparently I also got the June solstice on the same day. Who knew?
Awesome. Good job.
Yeah.
So I think I have more souvenirs this year than I've had since they did the 31 days of August.
I've had 6 this year.
It's pretty good, man. For you, that's a lot of souvenirs.
That's like at least half of what I have in 20 years.
Right?
Well, maybe not quite that, but it's like the same number of finds I have.
Doramore goes on to tell the story. It involves 2 cachers who passed away over the last few years.
Sorry, what story are we picking up?
The involved geocoin.
A complicated trackable.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, sorry. Yes, I lost track. Shiny things.
Why does life have to be so complicated? I should write a song.
Yes. Why'd you have to make things so complicated?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was constipated. Got it all wrong.
That was Weird Al.
Oh,
And
Might
that's
just
what-
like to get myself decapitated.
yeah.
Keats got the hard streak souvenir,
Good for
but
you.
it wasn't too hard. I just needed to make sure I found a cache during my travels.
As long as you're somewhere there's a cache, it shouldn't be too hard.
Kitty Quest also got the hard streak souvenir.
Well done.
UDAC got the medium.
Nice.
Good job.
GSM times 2 went for the medium streak and got it.
Well done.
And Winos wants to know if the monkeys want to cross the border. I missed one, but I misclicked. But
You
Seaback
did.
Tribe got hers on Sunday, going
Congrats.
on August 6th for the whole challenge.
All right. Well, Winos, I'm not sure what you're getting at, but why don't you email me and we'll discuss it.
All righty then. Bryline got his hard streak. Nice.
Well done.
Lots of streakers.
Mm-hmm.
How come the Seabeck Tribe one is still up?
I don't know.
Anyway, hide current comment. There it goes. Okay. GCD, it's time to go. All right. Thank you very much. Folks, thank you for joining us. And until next week, and go caching in the Northwest.